Well, hello to those of you who are either watching and or participating as attendees. Um, Trying to provide everyone an opportunity to ask questions about the budget that has been proposed. There were some modifications made as recently as last night. Those modifications included $480,000 in additional fund balance use. $40,000 will be used from unexpended adult education funds that were slated to repair restrooms that are youth size from when Longley was used as an elementary school. And now that space serves older students. That adjustment was looking to be made. That project was not completed. It landed in fund balance. So now those funds will be credited back to the budget process. And in addition, $281,000 slated to be used as relief funds in an effort to use those relief funds for one-time purchases as much as humanly possible, certainly COVID connected. So things like laptops, document cameras, things that we're adding to our inventory and assets so that we can work as smoothly as possible through the pandemic. That totals $801,000 in changes to the budget. It amounts to 40 cents off the proposed $1.01, and we put us coming in at 61 cents from an increase perspective. I will note that moves some things into relief funds that in future years we want to be thoughtful about. But I'll also add that this does preserve our staff as we had really hoped to do. If there's anything that we are not short on right now, it's the need to have staff in front of our students. I'll move through a few slides here. If you do have any questions, I'll go through quickly and then open it up for questions and come back. Feel free to raise your hand if you have any questions. But I know that we had talked about budget process, and I think the school committee invested a lot of time and a lot of passion into the process. And I also know that our city council is doing their best in what appears to be a tight year. And so, seemingly going to agree to some increase, but also trying to be mindful of the burden on taxpayers. And I appreciate that we're all working hard to find a balance. But this budget isn't without a lot of success. And so this slide here, just talking about when students blend mastery skills, creativity, their identity, their community identity, their friends' identity, and our community pride. And then they display expression, something undeniable happens. And in the foreground of this picture is a beam that went into the expansion. This was approved by voters at a past referendum. I think it's wonderful our community supported this. It adds to our high school in so many ways, but it has a real focus on the arts. And on this beam, students that were connected to the campaign to raise awareness for the referendum, they had a chance to sign this. And the Expand Our Minds, Expand Our School became the slogan of that. And so we wanted to share that. And that's a real exciting opportunity. We do anticipate that wing being available towards the end of October or early November of next year if there are no disruptions. So it won't be a grand opening to start the year, but as we get late in fall, early winter, we should be able to start using those spaces, and I'm very excited for that. I will mention though, we're using a number of things in relief funds, and this list may grow a little with the decision made last night and my very busy schedule today. I will note that there will be some other things that add to this, or some things that are on here that instead of using relief funds for some percentage of it, we may have to use a larger percent or all of it. We do have some goals around this with the relief funds. Again, those one-time purchases wherever we can, and looking forward to the future so that anything that we do with this, again, wherever possible, it doesn't just create a big cliff at the end. It helps stock the shelves and help us provide opportunities for remediation for students. And then when things do come back, post relief funds, we're not without things that we can use. So the State Essential Program of Services, or EPS, generates a formula. This is worked out at the state, and ultimately they come up with what's called an ED 279. And then if you look at the slide here, you have the foundation allocation. That's a dollar amount that the state says if you meet that amount, that's the minimum share, without losing money in the next line, general purpose aid. So general purpose aid went up a little bit, but the foundation allocation went down. And this is part of the state formula that we review and verify, but they have control of the formula. The additional local allocation, so this is above the foundation allocation. We're asking for another $1.255 million, roughly. Some of these numbers may move a little bit. I did some work this afternoon to make sure we were prepared, but there may be some movement in some of these items as we make the changes from last night's meeting. The general fund carryover use was increased by $480,000. It's up to $5 million. That leaves about $900,000 in the bank for us, if you will, in reserves, should something come up or for future use. And so the way this works is the money we didn't spend prior gets used in this year's budget. This is taxpayer money. They've foot the bill, and any money we didn't spend, we're bringing forward into the budget process. So that money doesn't just go away. We don't misuse it. We bring it forward in the next budget. Our miscellaneous revenues are down. This would be like when we rent portions of the high school for an event, or we host teams that rent spaces like the basketball gym, or use things like that. That generates revenue for our school department. We have pretty consistent estimate on what those are going to be, but because of COVID, those numbers are down pretty significantly. Another example of that is when people rent the auditorium at the middle school. With COVID, it's not permissible, so those funds are not coming in. So to get into the general fund article summary, here's where I'm going to go fairly quick. I'm seeing a few attendees, but I think they're people that are fairly familiar with the process. And again, I can go back through and answer any questions anyone has. And I want to go through this pretty quickly and let you know that as we go through these, I have a bullet at the bottom that says to be potentially reduced to meet the school committee vote expectations. And what I mean by that is, earlier I mentioned a $281,000 shift in use of funds is directed by the school committee through their vote. So I have to now go, Assistant Superintendent Paquette and I will work to find out exactly what those items are, make sure they're appropriate for relief funds or reductions, and do our very best to get down to that number before we submit the final articles to the city for a potential vote. Sounds like it may be next Tuesday with the city, and hopefully we can expedite a referendum shortly thereafter. So just sliding through the article so I can get to the slide that represents some of the transitions that were made just recently. Again, I can go back and review any items that you're interested in. This kind of puts things in perspective. But again, we're looking for a general fund increase this year of 61 cents. That covers all of the items, and it makes the total tax 1098 from 1037. Last year was 1037. So with that, I will just remind you that this plan still supports our language learners. It maintains our professional staff. It does open new opportunities for students and community. Still celebrates identity, creativity, and expression. Targets early interventions like never before. Increases our instructional supplies using relief funds, and extends their commitment to equity and social emotional learning for all of LPS. Again, with those funds from the relief effort, we really are able to do a lot of things that we wouldn't otherwise be able to do. So with that, I'm going to stop my share so I can see my screen, And if there are any questions, please feel free to raise your hand. I will answer any question you have or go back through slides if need be. I'm currently not seeing any questions from attendees. We didn't have anyone come in person this evening. We have Mr. Terrio and myself. Mr. Terrio is running the technology, and I'm here to present. We'll wait a few minutes, but if there are no questions, we will close out this session, and we will look forward to seeing you next time. It's 6:21. I'll wait 2 full minutes and see if any questions come to you, or if you have a comment you'd like to make. You're more than welcome to do so. We'll bring you in so that you can say something. Just raise your hand. Currently, it's on audio right now. All right, seeing no questions, I want to thank those of you who attended this evening. I did go through things pretty quickly and look forward to our next meeting regarding the budget, which will be with the city. Again, we're looking at next Tuesday, and hopefully we can get a budget passed and move to referendum. I appreciate your time. Thank you all. Have a good evening.